Welcome back, everybody. Today we're going over this little pistol right here. This is the M70 from Zastava. Originally it was made in Yugoslavia starting in 1970, and from what I understand this is actually still a production pistol. Obviously this one's an older example and came in on the surplus market. We picked this one up from Strickleton AK, which we'll get into here a little bit later on. But there's a lot of things named M70 that come out of former Yugoslavia, current Serbia. So they have this little pistol, we have the AK variants of course, and then they also have the 9mm Tokarov version, which we'll show you here in just a second, that are all called the M70, so it's somewhat confusing in that regard. But what we're going to do here with this pistol is put a few more rounds through it, let the dogs check it out, and then we're going to get into the details of the pistol coming up next. Getting into the details of the pistol itself, we'll start back here and sort of work our way up. So the grips on them have decent texturing. It has the little CZ logo on the side there, on the left side, and nothing over on the right side. Magazine release, as you guys can see, is not ambidextrous, so it is period correct. Most things back then were not ambidextrous. The mag release is over there, and when you hit it, you'll know that the mag sort of pops out, but will not drop free. Again, very common of pistols of the time. It is an 8-round mag, and this pistol does come with 2 of them. The mags appear to be in pretty good shape anyway, at least from what I can see. Continuing to move forward, we have our safety lever here on the right side of the pistol, or rather the left side of the pistol for right-handed shooters. So there's nothing over on the right side, as you guys can see there. And in order to work the slide of the pistol, it has to be in the fire position. So in fire, you can verify that it is unloaded and then move it back to safe. At this point, the gun still will not fire if you move the safety forward because it does have a magazine disconnect. I'm not a huge fan of that, but I know some people like it for safety reasons. If someone grabs your gun, you can hit that mag release and not have the pistol fire. Again, not a huge fan of it personally, but I know some folks are. The trigger on the gun is pretty good. So along with the Tokarov type design, it's a single action. And the pull on this one here, I think is right around 5 or 6 pounds. Let me double check. And yep, you guys can see right there, it's coming in right at 5.5 pounds. It's pretty crisp. I mean, you're not going to be competing with some, Wilson Combat 1911s or anything like that. But for a pistol of the era, it's very easy to shoot well. Recoil impulse is really low. The only sort of limiting factor, I think, for a lot of people is going to be the sights, which are relatively diminutive. The rear sight is just a simple notch, and then up front, the front sight is built right in there. Now, the rear is adjustable for windage, should you have to drift it. And as you guys can see, there's actually a little notch on the top of the slide, which sort of tells you where it's centered. Mine shoots dead on with Remington ammo, so we've had no issues there, but we also have the serrations there on top to cut down on glare. I've never actually noticed glare on the top of the pistol when looking over sights, but it's something that a lot of guns do have, and it certainly doesn't hurt anything. Serrations there on the slide are only on the rear, so for those of you guys that want to press checks with your 1970s era pistol, you might be out of luck here. Breaking the pistol down for maintenance is a pretty simple affair, so of course we're going to want to verify it's unloaded like anything else. Take our mag out, it's on fire, verify that it is unloaded, and I'm just going to move the safety back there. And at this point we're going to push in on the recoil spring there, and you have to rotate your bushing 180 degrees. So it's sort of a 1911-ish as well as Tokarov-ish, rather, I should say. So we're going to push that, rotate it around 180 degrees, it should come up. And it does. Now it's under spring tension, so just make sure you guys are kind of holding that spring down. At this point, we're going to push our slide release lever here from the right side. And sometimes you have to pull up a little bit there on the spring, and it just fell out as soon as I pulled up on the spring. And there is our slide release lever. At this point, the slide will come off, and the trigger housing comes right out. Again, very Tokarov-ish in that regard. Now we're going to remove our recoil spring there, and then pull our barrel out the front. And that is your disassembled pistol. Now, if you want to take apart the grips to make sure we go in there and clean everything out there to prevent rust, stuff like that, as you guys can see, right in there, you have a little bit of a lever. We're just going to take that and push it over. It's probably not designed to be done with the Geissele trigger pin kit, but it seems to come in handy. So at this point, we're going to take this little lever here and push up on it, like so. That will release the tension, and there is our frame. You guys can see that's a pretty bare bones frame, but the fit and finish on it actually, in my opinion, is not terrible, again, considering it was designed for military and police and not commercial sales. The slide there is a little bit rougher. You guys can see the electro penciling in there, and the barrel has it as well. It's electro penciled in right there. It's not quite as deep, but that way I think they just wanted to match up the slides and the barrels to make sure that they were all mating up correctly, but a little bit rough in there. The fit and finish, like I said, not exactly exceptional, but it's functional. The barrel itself is cold hammer forged. You guys can see there it has good threading, or rather good rifling in there, so there's plenty of life left in there. And actually, where the barrel meets up with the frame there, it's beveled together pretty well. Now, I've only run some Remington 32 ACP full metal jacket stuff through it, but I'd be willing to bet that that's going to run hollow points just fine should you guys choose to do so. Of course, with 32 ACP, that's sort of a controversial point, but it is really blended together quite well, so can't be too mad about that. Now, to reassemble it, we're going to put our barrel in, we're going to put our spring in, and there's a flat side on the spring here. As you guys can see, that flat side goes down against the barrel, like so. We'll get those grips back on there too while we're at it. And anybody who's taken the grips off a Tokarov knows it's pretty much the exact same. So slide this lever back to where we found it. There you go, the grips are together. Now we're going to take our trigger housing here and drop that back into place, like that. Now, getting it back together is not hard, it's just a little tricky in this regard. You want to make sure that you're holding onto your trigger pack there in the rear. And we're going to slide this back together. And I want to make sure our trigger housing there slides forward. There we go, like that. Now at this point, again, you're going to pull our spring forward a little bit because there's a little bit of a notch in the spring that will catch on the slide release if not. Drop that in. Now at this point, we're going to push down on the spring first and then bring our bushing in like so. And then just rotate it around 180 degrees. Put it back on fire. Quick functions check here. And we're back in business. I've hinted at it throughout the video, but this is our Tokarov type pistol. The original is going to be the M57. This is the M70 version, which is 9mm, but otherwise it's functionally identical. You guys can sort of see the inspiration here. So the hammer and trigger pack really are almost identical. The sight setup, again, almost identical. The Tokarov's just going to be a little bit bigger. The grips, how they go in and are removed, is exactly the same. The mag release, very similar, just like this pistol here, the M70. It does not drop free. Same over here on our Tokarov. And the trigger, the way it functions is identical. The slide release, identical as well. Just from what I've read, they just wanted a smaller version that was a little bit easier to carry and a little bit easier to shoot. And the M70 here is available in 32 ACP like we have it here, and it's also made in 380 ACP or 9mm Kurtz. I have not seen any of those here in the US, but I'm sure they're around. If I actually found one, I definitely would pick it up because this pistol shoots so smooth due to the weight and 32 ACP combination. I bet it would be pretty good in 380 as well. In front of you now is a little selection of some former Comwalk type guns. They're all steel guns and they're all in what we would consider today sort of diminutive calibers. But just to kind of give you guys a size idea of what we're looking at here with the M70, we have this one here, which is a CZ VZ70, an excellent pistol. It's built very well and a little bit more refined, I would say, than this one here, but you guys can see it's also a little bit bigger. It's a little bit longer there in the slide. And it's a little bit fatter in the grip as well. It probably doesn't show too well there, but it is. And then we have the Polish P64, which I've done, I think, a couple of videos on now. I really do like this gun, so long as you change out that double action trigger spring. The thing is atrocious. But other than that, it's a good little reliable pistol. And you guys can see that the P64 is actually a touch smaller there. And one thing that's for sure with the P64 is the machining is much, much better. The P64 really is a very refined little pistol. Now, the P83, which is another Polish pistol here, it's larger, obviously, holds more rounds. It's going to be much easier to shoot than the P64 that we just showed you guys, but of course it's going to be larger, so there's the penalty of that. It's very wide, very comfortable to grip and shoot. And then of course we have a Makarov here. This is a Bulgarian variety, and this one of course is chambered at 9mm Makarov rather. And again, it's going to be larger for sure, a little bit easier to shoot as well, a little bit more powerful cartridge. But I actually like the trigger on the M70 here probably better than all of those. It's just very, very easy to shoot well due to that single action, pretty crisp pull. Lastly, we'll take a look at it compared to the Glock 43. It's pretty similar in size. Of course, the 43 shoots the 9mm cartridge, but overall in terms of width, it's pretty similar. It's a little bit longer there in the grip. We have our finger extension mag there in the 43 that makes it look a little bit longer than it is. You get a couple extra rounds too in the M70, but comparatively, when you pick them up, the M70 there is much heavier for sure, and that definitely contributes to the light recoil that we talked about earlier. I'm sure some of you guys out there haven't actually seen a 32 ACP in person, so I wanted to give you a quick size comparison of a few different rounds that we've actually shown pistols chambered in today. So we have the 32 ACP here on the left, and then moving on we have a 380 ACP or 9mm Kurtz. You can see in terms of the length, they're pretty much identical. However, the 380 is wider and shoots a heavier bullet, of course. And then we have 9mm here. And then we have the 7.62 Tokarov round here. So the 7.62 Tokarov was sort of like the original 5.7. For those that don't know, it's loaded pretty hot. And we'll go through a lot of soft body armor depending on the load. And 9mm, of course, is going to be a little bit less in terms of speed and power. And then 380 step down a touch. And then 32 ACP, a little bit more of a step down. Now, I mentioned earlier, I think, that whether or not to use hollow points in 32 ACP is sort of a hotly debated subject on the forums, but a lot of people are going to use FMJ if they're using it for defensive use, just due to the limited power and limited penetration that it does offer. But I wouldn't want to take a 32 ACP in the chest either. Looking around the internet, I haven't found too much info out there on these little pistols. From what I have found, though, is that they are still in use by some police forces over in Serbia, as well as used as concealed carry pistols over there. Now, I'm not sure what the laws are over there, but a gentleman was on a forum who's from Serbia and was saying that this was one of the most popular carry guns over there, and that's primarily due to price, according to that gentleman. He said these are relatively inexpensive and relatively common over there. But, I mean, as a police gun, probably wouldn't be my first choice. Maybe in a backup role, it certainly could fill that well, but it's a little bit heavy. But again, the shooting characteristics, as we mentioned earlier, are awesome. It just tracks so flat, and that very nice single action trigger combined with the ability of the pistol just to stay on target. I mean, you can just hammer steel with it, with that little 32 ACP round, even despite the diminutive sights. But all in all, it's a cool little pistol. This one right now is $275. It comes with 2 mags. It also comes with a little leather flap holster, as well as a barrel brush to brush out and clean out your barrels. So for $275, I really think it's a pretty good buy. If nothing else, just for investor purposes, if you guys look around and see what's happening to surplus guns, a lot of the ones that I just showed you earlier in the video, from the time I bought those to now, have gone up. Many of them have doubled in price, and just historically speaking, I would imagine this one here would do the same. This one is actually in pretty good condition overall, so I don't know that they're all like that coming in from the surplus market, but from what I understand, this batch, this is a pretty representative sample of it. So lastly, I just want to talk about 32 ACP. I mentioned earlier I wouldn't want to get shot in the chest with it. Quick personal story. So I used to bartend at a bar in downtown Charlotte many, many years ago, and back then the concealed carry laws in North Carolina were a little different than what they are today. But it was highly frowned upon by the establishment that I worked in to carry a gun. However, I would have to walk quite a distance from the bar to my car at like 4 in the morning pretty much every time I picked up a shift. So I carried a little Beretta Tomcat 32 ACP in like the top pocket of my jeans back then that we used to wear to work. Now back then you didn't have like the little LCPs and Bodyguard 380s and all those things that we have today. This was, you know, decades ago at this point. And back then the little 32 ACP Beretta was about the most powerful mouse gun you could find out there. So I carried it, and just because concealment was an absolute priority for me then, because I would have got fired if they had found it. So that said, is it exactly an awesome defensive caliber? No, but it's a whole lot better than nothing. So maybe for somebody who's really recoil sensitive, or just somebody who likes history, this is definitely a cool piece to check out. So if you guys have any questions about this gun that we didn't cover here in the video, by all means you can post down below in the comment section. You can also post over at my Facebook page as always. But thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for subscribing, and I hope to see you in the next video.